Mel, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey, everyone. It's that time of the weekend. I am live. If you ever wonder whether or not I get nervous when I go live on my own, a little bit. But that's okay. I'm just putting my thoughts out there for the world to listen to. How egotistic is that? Anyway, thank you for joining in this wonderful evening. I did just a couple of business here, and I'm going to go through like the macro and go through some of your favorite charts and kind of take it from there. But we did had a cat cruise Saturday. We weren't able to get Danny to join us, but we did have some of Danny's charts that he gave to us. So I don't know if you had a chance to see this, but I spent probably about 20 minutes impersonating Danny, and it probably was not a nice thing to do, but that's what he gets for not showing up. Anyway, yeah, if you guys want to watch that, feel free to watch that. Just a couple of business, stuff like that. I probably may not be as active next week because I'm going on a little bit of a trip here. So I may not even be able to do the Tuesday night triumphant live stream. We'll see. But yeah, a couple other things too. In addition to having done the Cat Cruise Saturday live stream, I also have done a few members only videos today. I think we're going to start doing this. I basically a couple things. One is great Matsby, Danny have asked me to see if I make some kind of like exclusive content for them. I'm here to kind of help my friends out. So I made a video for them and I also posted it here on my own. Went through 5 of my favorite stocks: Coinbase, MSTR, SOFI, Roku, and CrowdStrike. So if you guys are asking about that, I'm probably just going to go to like low level detail. I'm going to tell you like some short term things. But if you are interested in those technical analysis, I do have a video on that. And I actually end up having a collaborative video with Danny and with Matsby as well earlier this morning. We talked about MSTR and HIMS. And I did have a post here that are only available for members. So you guys want to get the video link, if you're a member, feel free to check on that. Also gave my portfolio update. Also came up with CORZ here, another 15-minute video talking about the rising 3 methods and the Malaport soup candles. Anyway, and if you guys want to support my friends, great Matsby, Danny, they have their Patreons if you guys want to do that. Anyway, I'm not really getting anything from promoting them, at least not now anyway. Maybe they'll hire me one day. But all right, let's get straight to business, everybody. Hi, Lucky Charm. Hi, Vivian. Hi, everybody. Young investor Eric C. I just want to go through a little bit of the index internet acting up. Okay, so I'm going to go through a little bit of indexes here to kind of share with you my thoughts here. Now, the S&P 500 has been gone insane, and you can say that it's going on low volume here, but the stock market generally goes up on low volume anyway. Like, that doesn't really bother me. So I'm going to turn off volume here to not distract you. But if you're asking me, the market has just kind of gone up straight for like 6 months. Does it mean that we're going to end up hitting a top soon? Probably not the top per se. I actually think that we're probably going to keep going higher, but we probably might be getting to a point where we might end up hitting a little bit of resistance here for S&P 500. Because when I was drawing this Gann chart, and this is a monthly Gann here, some pretty decent market symmetry. The reason why I think market's going higher is because we've broken above the resistance line here for gold liquidity. I think they're just going to keep printing money. So the other thing as to why I think we're going higher is because we've also broken through this RSI trend line here on the monthly chart, which in general favors further bullish continuation, even though we've been going up on bearish divergence. But breaking trend line usually generally means that, hey, there's a chance for us to maybe even potentially negate the bearish divergence here. Now, because of this, I think that most likely we're going to end up pushing through to the ARK, and we might end up back testing the angle here, and we might end up going up here. to the 700s. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And and you're correct. I actually think that there might be a little bit. Hey, Cass, there might be a little bit of a rotation to the small cap because I actually do think small cap rotation is happening, and it's just the beginning of volatility of that. I also think one thing. I also think that this S&P 500 hitting resistance may actually mean that you could potentially have a little bit of rotation away from the S&P 500 to back to the Nasdaq, because Nasdaq really over the last few months has not really been performing that well. If you haven't felt the pulse of the market like I have, and to me, this is the QQQ over SPY chart, so I probably shouldn't use logarithmic. But this is the QQQ over S&P 500 chart here, or Nasdaq over S&P 500. Usually during a bull market, the Nasdaq should relatively outperform the S&P 500. And over the last few months, we've not really been doing so. I think big part of the reason is because I think S&P 500 has not hit its resistance until more recently, as QQQ has really hit its resistance for quite some time now. I'm going to make sure has really hit the resistance here for quite some time, and it's just been trying to break above the horizontal Gann line over here, right? You spend about 4 months trying to break above the zone, whereas the S&P 500 just recently just get to about the zone over here. So in order for the bull market to continue, usually you want QQQ to outperform the SPY. I think it's going to happen soon because this is a 20-month moving average of this QQQ over SPY chart here, and I think we're hitting a lot of support over here. So, and we've also got a little bit of Bollinger Band squeeze here, and the trend is up, so I think it's going to end up potentially blowing up, just like how the Nasdaq has outperformed the S&P 500 for about like 25 years. I think the trend's probably going to end up keep on continuing. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing. And if that's the case, I can't really see this being like a bear market. I can potentially see S&P 500 potentially hitting some snag. But that's it. I can see it going higher, maybe backtest the angle down here for a few months, and that could get a lot of people potentially really bearish. Like here. But I don't really see anything bad going on. This is the RWM chart. Now the RWM chart is as simple as this. I'm gonna basically get rid of all this drawing here. You can just look at the Bollinger Band is expanding on the monthly, and the 20-month moving average is pointing up. And you can see that, hey Kim, you can see that you have very much of a nice bull trend that's being built up here on the IWM, and until the Bollinger Band really starts to contract, I think it's going to keep going up, faster. And even when it starts to contract, that doesn't mean that the bull trend's over. Like here, it starts to contract, but it kept on going up higher, right? But right now it's expanding. Right now we're having more impulsive price action. Right now we have a lot of volatility, which is needed to kind of break the Bollinger Band apart so the price can go up higher. That's kind of what I'm seeing here. I really am very, very much bullish on this. I'm starting to get some chart requests here, you guys. I'm going to jot them down here. Let's see. Margin call. Hey, how's it going? All right. So what you're seeing really here is that the small caps are expanding. I'm going to get to that ASPN here as well. So you can see that the Bollinger Band is really expanding. So if this means that small caps are going to do well, then you got stocks like that they're like Rocket Lab or ASPN. All these stocks probably going to do relatively well. Just in general, you just look at the macro, right? And if you're also looking at this as a cycle, I think that we are still at the beginning of the cycle. I keep showing the same charts over and over again, but just in case you haven't seen it, this is the Ichimoku cloud. All I'm really saying is that when the blue crosses the red, you get usually the beginning of a bull market, right? Beginning of bull market, beginning of bull market, beginning of bull market, right? And when you have things that have just kind of gone way up and then back test the cloud, that usually resets and deleverage a lot of the leverage, and you keep going higher, right? Came back down, push the cloud, resets, go higher. Came back down, touch the cloud, resets, potentially going higher. Whenever this happens, that generally happens for about, anywhere from like a year and a half to about 3 years. And I think that we are maybe towards the beginning to mid area of it. Maybe the beginning based on how the blue and the red here are kind of starting to just separate here a little bit. I cannot be bearish on IWM, even for like Cathie Wood fans. I don't know if there is still any out there, but for Cathie Wood fans out there, you've already had some pretty nice backtests of some very important levels here. And I think the next area is probably going to be gravitating up because you got about the ARK, and it could end up gravitating up to this ARK over here over the next 2 or 3 years. And you could potentially be talking about like a 50% up with even with ARK funds, which hold a lot of these riskier stocks to think about. A lot of things are kind of lining up. The US dollar, how come it pumped? The DXY or DXY, how come it pumped? Well, because it's been touching the lower Bollinger Band here for for 2 months in a row. It's just, you can't just have things just keep going down in a straight line. You're going to have a little bit of a dead Cantonese bounce, and that's exactly what this month so far has been doing. There's also another reason as to why this is happening. I guess it's more technical than anything else. Another reason as to why this is happening, but make no mistake about it, I think it's going to get rejected probably here at the 20-month moving average, wherever it gets up there. And this is probably just at that Cantonese bounce. It's been just making lower highs and lower lows. So I think the trend is down, right? Make no mistake about it. Yields, I should probably not use logarithmic when it comes to yields, but yields have been just plummeting down. Like everybody's been following the Fed in terms of what they're doing. We have been just kind of going down for a whole year. And right now we have a dead Cantonese bounce here. A little bit of bullish engulfing. It can have some bullish continuation here potentially for the 2-year, but most likely it's going to end up staying below 4%. Or 4.1%, which is like this level over here. It's just broken down or even sharp back test. So yields are going down, even though short-term wise it's kind of gone up. And I would love to see what the CNBC like pundits are saying. 10-year hitting a flattening 20-month moving average. Like this is bearish for the 10-year yield. I think it's probably going to continue to go down. U.S. liquidity has been going up. You're talking about the TLT. Let's talk about TLT. Not quite ready yet because the 20-month moving average is still sloping downwards, and you can see like the last 2 months just been having these wicks over here. So TLT is probably gonna need a little bit of a sideways here, which coincides with the fact that yields are pumping up. Now, VIX. Initially, I was a little bit worried about the VIX because you are having a 20-month moving average kind of crawling from resistance to support, right? But I start seeing these wicks up here. Like it looks like VIX wants to go up, and it's greater than 20 right now. So there's still a lot of volatility in the market. I would not be surprised if like next week, still having like these minus 1% days or something like that. And then it just ends up reversing, I would not be surprised. But it's above, yes, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a big pump like that, right? You can just stay above it and get back underneath to the mean, which is kind of what I'm seeing. Now, is a big move coming for the VIX potentially because it's squeezing, right? I don't know. Like this is really the big thing that's really getting me worried. Also, together with S&P 500 kind of hitting a little bit of resistance, I'm still bullish on the market. I still cannot be bearish on the market, but I mean, short term, I think it's maybe like a little bit more caution, maybe a little bit warranted based on just this. And but overall, I think it might be more of a reflection of like a little bit of rotation towards small caps, potentially. And of course, I'm going to talk about Bitcoin and all of the, not all of the miners. I can't talk about all of the miners. I won't be sleeping tonight if I do that. But if you want to just talk about Bitcoin, all I have to say is, what has the month of October done so far? Nothing. What seasonality in terms of what Bitcoin generally does in October? And generally, October is up for Bitcoin. October, up, right? October, up. Even during a bear trend, right? And then October, up, right? And October, up. So in general, now you're going to have some little bit of exception here, but here, October, up, right? You're going to have a little bit of an exception here, like this October candle over here was done nothing, but the seasonality suggests October is generally a pretty good month, and so far we have about 2 or 3 months. Sorry, not 2 or 3 months, 2 or 3 weeks left to Bitcoin. So I actually think that right now the price action is doing what it's supposed to be doing. on the weekly time frame. But on a monthly time frame, if you just look at Ichimoku, like it basically is just trying to use the Tenkan to push price up higher, kind of like it did over here. And this is bull market behavior. If you are looking at the weekly, you are finding support here. Can price come down here back to the cloud around 57K, like a lot of people are calling for? Potentially. I find this to be less likely. The last couple weeks or so, I was kind of showing you, even last week, I was showing you a really busy chart, and I was kind of just pulling everything out in the kitchen sink up above. Over here, you have Bitcoin breaking down of all of these support levels one at a time, right? So apes separately are weak, and you just get broken underneath one at a time, right? But over here, you bounced from the cloud and went back above. Like I cannot underestimate the weekly candles here, 1, 2, and 3. These like 3 white soldiers over here. A lot of people say you have a wick, you can't be 3 white soldiers. That's not true. You just have to have candles kind of touching one another. Boom, 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 right? And what is it doing right now? Is back testing a lot of these levels down here for the last week and this week, right? What are we doing so far? This candle is going to close tomorrow in about 24 hours or so. Maybe it plummets down underneath these support levels, but so far as holding the Bora support band, holding these Tenkan and Kijin from the Sobichi and the Ichimoku clouds, right? So and so far it looks like a hammer, and so far these candles look like they're very wicky. This is like a little bit of maybe like a tweezer bottom, like it is over here. And usually I have these kind of like wicky kind of bottom. Generally, it's favorable for bullish continuation. A lot of people are calling for further downside. Though, can I see it? Yes. Do I think that the probability is high? Not necessarily. I would say, gosh, I hate to put percentages to that. I would say, hi Esteban, welcome. I would say I probably say it might go down further, but the probability of going down, I say maybe I put that maybe like 25%, and it just kind of bounce up from here because all the confluence of support that I was showing you. I would say that's probably more like 75% if I have to put this. Yeah, if I had to put this into consideration. Now, I did do a Gann chart here, and to do the Gann chart, I do have to say, I'm going to get rid of these arrows over here. This is not relevant to what I'm trying to show you. But you can see that this has been showing some pretty good market symmetry. Now, the way I did it is I do 360 and 500. These are numbers I use to draw the Gann from the cycle bottom, and it gives you this beautiful market symmetry here. Now, with this beautiful market symmetry, what is it really telling you? Well, price kind of it's been kind of following the arcs up here. It's been following the arc up here. It's been following the arc up here, right? And it's just been having a hard time breaking through the arc and horizontal zone combined together. It was a little bit of a strong resistance. So you need to come back down. You need to find some support. Where there's find support at the Ichimoku cloud, so on and so forth. And then it found the support that it needed to find, and it got back into the arc. And it just formed a higher high. And right now it's forming maybe hopefully a little bit of a higher low here. Even if it goes all the way back down to like 57K to the top of Ichimoku cloud, it's still a higher low. Could it plummet all the way back down to like 49,000 again? I don't think it has to. It already tapped that liquidity down there below, right? And you remember what I was always kind of saying is that Bitcoin is kind of a reflection of global liquidity, and it's been rising. I think the sideways action here in general is a little bit more of a scare tactic than anything else. And you generally have Bitcoin kind of lagging behind this liquidity rise anyway. So I am seeing more of a lag of Bitcoin's going up. It could go down further, sure. Nobody knows that for sure. I just share with you the probability of that, happening maybe to 57K. I think it's low, and that's also based on a lot of other things I'm seeing. Because if you're looking at, oh, by the way, if I'm going to show you it again, where's it going to go if it breaks out like to the 90,000s to like 100,000, somewhere around there, probably. If it breaks above, that's kind of what I'm seeing. But anyway, that's a different thing. But why do I feel more confident that I think Bitcoin's probably going to go up higher? Thanks, Vivian, you're like a Capo fan or something. Anyway, so you have a couple of things. One is somebody asked about MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy has been outperforming, right? And I cannot be that bearish when the leverage play is outperforming and it just had its breakout. MicroStrategy had like this 6 inside candles over here. So far in October, it's just boom, just push through above all that. And also potentially, we'll see. Maybe October end up closing underneath the 1.618 extension level. But so far, MicroStrategy is outperforming Bitcoin. You just do a MicroStrategy over Bitcoin chart. This is the ratio of MicroStrategy over Bitcoin is going higher, right? And that's not late cycle behavior. This is like, maybe like mid cycle behavior, right? So I can't really be that bearish. And also on top of that, like a lot of the miners are also finding some pretty critical support. And matter of fact, like the more recent findings on these miners, they seem to be at some really critical support and they seem to be holding. I'll also argue they might be holding better than Bitcoin, right? And why is that? Because why is that? Well, IWM just pumped 2% on Friday and miners just pumped like 5, 10, 15%, right? The one that I have been adding to the most, and you guys have been asking about this, is CleanSpark. What do I think about CleanSpark? Well, what I think about CleanSpark is I think it's some pretty critical support zone here. It unfortunately broke down underneath a lot of support over here. I guess a lot of people have been getting it wrong. I was probably a little bit too bullish when it was stuck in the range here. I was buying the bottom of the range, and right now my cost average is probably around like 11, and I'm still buying. I'm buying CleanSpark over Mara. I can show you a little bit as to why that is. It's not. I don't have anything like big knock against Mara or anything, but I think it's at critical support. It's forming like a very nice tweezer bottomish. I mean, this is a monthly chart, so it's not the end all be all. It could end up going down back here and test the arc up there around 6.8, but I just don't think that has to, because it's been broken through the angle here, broken through 0.5, and just doing a back test. That's what I'm seeing. And also on top of that is also back testing the sorry, it's a little bit busy. It's also back testing the 20-month moving average after flipping it from resistance to support. Overall, that's still what I'm seeing on the weekly chart. You can see like it's just been like a brutal 2 weeks where there's just these wicks down below trying to tap liquidity. All of these are still inside candles, by the way. So it's just been consolidating sideways and a little bit trendless. But the important thing is that it's been holding the 100-week moving average extraordinarily well, which traditionally for CleanSpark has been a very important resistance and support zone. And it's still holding as support, right? So I really cannot be that bearish on CleanSpark. And I think that if CleanSpark is able to get some volume to come, if CleanSpark is able to get some volume like it did over here to come, it can go up a lot higher really quickly. But a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, but it's underneath a lot of resistance level, right? Like the Ichimoku cloud here on the weekly, on the 2 week, you're still inside the cloud, like on the monthly, you're way underneath a lot of the resistance levels up here above, right? So what do you mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is we'll see, because we've been having this downtrend on declining volume, and CleanSpark has just gone from like $1.74 all the way up to like $24.72 in just a mere year and a half, right? So it corrected sideways for about 6 months, and it plummeted down to tap liquidity down below. But what is it doing right now? Looking at the greater structure of this, it looks like a heart. Actually, I like that. It looks like a heart, but it looks like a big giant cup with a handle. That's what it looks like, and the handle is happening on low volume. And all of this are happening in the setting that you have still a rising 20-month moving average to want to serve as support, right? So I am still bullish on CleanSpark, and I might be a fool for doing so, but I just don't think that we've really hit that bullish euphoria, even though it might have felt like that on this wave up here. I just don't think that we've really quite hit that euphoria quite just yet. Where do I think price would go? Well, let's break above one of these levels at a time, right? I mean, if you just kind of look at what CleanSpark has been doing, it has just been really following these Fibonacci levels quite religiously, as well as these ARC levels here quite religiously. it tends to want to break above, like, let's say from here, 1, 2, 3, got closer to arc here, broke about 3 Fibonacci level, took 2 steps back, break about 3 here, took 2 steps back, break about 3 here, and took 2 steps back, right? This is what's been happening with CleanSpark. It's been forming higher highs and higher lows. And it's been finding some pretty good support here at a lot of critical things I was showing you, including the 100-day week moving average, including the Gann angle here, including a 0.5 Fibonacci level. A lot of things are holding a support over here. So I am not bearish on this, and I'm going to keep getting into it. I can give you some crazy targets if you want. I mean, I don't know where the cycle, nobody knows where the cycle is going to end. If they tell you, I was just making a comment on somebody's response. If they tell you exactly where price is going to be at what date, run, because they're either in the future, they're coming from the future. Why are they talking to you? Or they're just some like weird superstition stuff that I don't know. If they tell you, I'll be freaked out. Or they're telling you because they're being absolutist and they don't really know and they're just kind of throwing stuff out there, right? Hit this arc here, push for this arc, push for the cycle high over here. Then we'll talk about triple digits, right? Push for the horizontal zone over here, above the previous cycle high over here. Push about 50, then we'll talk about triple digits. That's all I'm going to say. 2025 has potential to do that, depending on how Bitcoin does. If IWM does well, if IWM goes to 300, CleanSpark has a chance to get the triple digits. But that's insane to say because they've been diluting like crazy, and this not fundamentally, explainable. So I'm going to shut up. Yeah. So that's CleanSpark. Why am I buying CleanSpark over Mara? Do I hate Mara now? Is Mara going down to $3? The answer is I don't know. But there's really no particular reason. Like, I'm not hating on Mara. I have a position. I just don't feel that strongly that I need to add to it anymore, because I feel that the CleanSpark over Mara chart, this is a ratio, and it has been outperforming Mara and underperforming Mara over the last few months. Right now, I think we're got a lot of wicks over here. I think CleanSpark wants to potentially outperform Mara again. You're hitting a horizontal zone over here, right? And then if you also look at the monthly, if you look at monthly here, you can see that it's kind of hitting the 20-month moving average. And it looks like CleanSpark wants to bounce against Mara here, right? So that's the context of me why I'm not adding to Mara at this point. It doesn't mean that I'm bearish on it. It just simply means that, I think that CleanSpark might end up bouncing harder, and I might add Mara later. That's kind of what I'm seeing here. Now, 20-month moving average support. 100-week moving average support, right? Support here, support here, resistance here, support, resistance, flipping support. It's not bearish. So I'm seeing a lot of positive things here that are developing for Mara, and the Bollinger Band is also squeezing too. So bigger moves can come. The trending moving average is pointing up, so good things could come for Mara. How do I see Mara moving forward? Well, sorry, I'm gonna take a sip of water here. Hang on just a second. And I will get to ASPN margin call. I promise you, I will get there. I'm sorry. I just kind of want to put these things in like a systematic manner. I want to talk about the miners first. I'm going to do some requests, and ASPN is on top of my list. What we're seeing here, I think I did the scan here on the weekly. I want to say I did it on like 720. Let me see here. Yep, 720 and 10. Right. So the way to look at what Mara's been doing is that it's just been stuck sideways here, and it's been oscillating between this horizontal line over here. And currently it's been trying to reclaim the 0.5, and it is doing so, a little bit. And we need to break above the horizontal line here, which is maybe why Mara's a little bit lagging, because we're still underneath resistance here. We're still underneath resistance at the Tenkan here as well on the weekly, right? Actually, no, we reclaimed that here a little bit, but we were underneath resistance here at the 20. around 20.5, which is the Ichimoku cloud here. And we're also underneath resistance at the horizontal line over too, right around 18.5. I do think price is going to end up grabbing up to like 20.5, and they'll see what happens, but it might take a little bit longer for Mara to do that, which I think is also why like CleanSpark went up 10%, Mara went up like 5%. But the key thing is this is not a bearish chart. I think it's just been basically at the bottom of this big giant range over here for like almost a whole year. And minimally, I think it's going to go back to the top of range when liquidity comes in. And they're going to flow away from one miner to another. Like some might burst early cycle, some might burst later on in the cycle. So I think Mara again. Let's speculate here. If IWM goes to like 300 or higher, where I think Mara is going to go? It's going to go to 1,000. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I don't know the answer to that, but I think there is a potential for if IWM goes to 300, even with Mara diluting like crazy, I can see potentially hitting a previous all-time high here. Not all-time high, previous cycle high, I should say, around the 80s, right? Or potentially go up to like triple digits around 136 if IWM goes up to 300, right? Could it hit some of the crazier targets up here around like 300, 400, 600? I'm not that crazy. I will see how it all transpires. So far, there has been no pump yet, and there's a lot of resistance levels to kind of push through. So I'm just gonna be like taking a step back here. I won't be like, oh, Mars gonna get this target, that target, because nobody knows, right? Nobody knows. Bitfarms. What is Bitfarms doing? Again, this chart was. Did I calibrate this on? Yeah, I probably did it on the weekly here. 360 and 1, right? Bitfarms. What is it doing? Well, it's trying to get out of this this angle here and go higher. It's just been having a hard time doing that, and it keeps on finding support here in 136 here. I do wonder if it was going to hit that. I really thought that it was probably going to touch that again before bouncing hard, but all the miners bounced pretty hard on Friday, so I don't know. It's been looking a little tiny bit weaker compared to Mara over the last week, but honestly, they're the same chart. I mean, this is Mara, this is Bitfarm. This is a reason why I really haven't charted Bitfarms for quite some time, because they look like they're like the same chart, really. I'm not like for some reason they might be following similar liquidity, but yeah, came back down, back test a rising 20, 1.86, 1.85. That's where we closed. The 20-month moving average is 1.86. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just been back testing stuff, and I think it's just been consolidating sideways here. And I think just like Mara is probably going to go up higher whenever it wants to. If you want to talk about targets, I can talk about targets, but they're not going to be very helpful right now because I'm just trying to get back to the top of the range over here, which is 0.382. If it breaks about $4, then we'll talk, right? 0.8, 6.8, 6.3 bucks is also going to be important resistance. So is $8, right? If you're able to get through all this, then you're talking about challenging $10 from the cycle high here. Then you're talking about higher targets, right? But right now, I'm just trying to break above resistance here. If Bitfarms is able to, if IWM is able to get to 300 and Bitcoin does really well, 6.8 as a potential target for Bitfarms, which is going to be like an 8x. Even potentially a 2.618, I think is possible, but like there's so much resistance here. I'm not going to go crazy. CIFR. Do I love CIFR? I love it. 360, 0.5. Okay. What has CIFR been doing? Well, it's just been oscillating around this arc here, break above, broke down below, found support here, broke back above, and it's basically back tested arc over here. So where is it going to go? Well, let's push through the 4.5 level here, shall we? If you're able to push over the 4.5 level, then let's get to the arc up here around like $10, which is where I think it's going to go. The previous all-time here is around 15. If IWM goes to 300, Bitcoin goes to 6 digits and beyond, I can see it hitting some of the higher targets up here around like 40s and 50s. But until then, there are a lot of resistance to break above. That's where I see CIFR. And in terms of the trend of what CIFR is doing, I cannot be bearish about this because it's just been hugging the 20-month moving average on the way up, and Bollinger Band is squeezing. So whenever it's done consolidating sideways, I think it's going to go up, and bullish band is going to expand. It's just been coiling like crazy, right? Still underneath resistance here on the monthly chart here, the Ichimoku, the Kijun. But on the weekly chart here, it's been basically broke down underneath the cloud here and reclaiming the cloud here again, right? So a lot of these, positive things are happening with these miners. I think like most of them have bottomed. To be completely honest with you, I think most of them have really just kind of bottomed. IREN has also been just forming higher highs and higher lows like this. Do you really need any technical analysis to tell you that this is a bullish chart and like you shouldn't be worrying about too much? No, like you don't need me. On the monthly, you got these wicks underneath. It looks like it's just been like you got these wicks above. This is what happened with IREN, right? If it got everybody bullish up here, way outside the monthly upper Bollinger Band. If you bought up here in the teens, probably you're asking for some short-term punishment. You got punished and found some support down here. It basically just backed as a horizontal level down here and passed, right? Where is price going to go up? It's going to go up higher now. The Bollinger Band probably needs some time to kind of help expand a little bit further. But this is a pretty bullish chart. Like, I don't know, like, again, just like CIFR is underneath a little bit of a short-term resistance here, which is why they haven't really broken out yet. But I think these resistance levels are probably going to end up getting broken. 20-month moving average is down here. It hasn't even needed to come back and back test it yet. Going to switch back here on the weekly here, still about the Ichimoku cloud. It just looks like a bullish chart that's cooling off a big giant move up above, right? Looking at the GAN here, what is it doing? Well, it's just got rejected here at the ARK here so far. Let's see if it's able to reclaim the 0.618 next week. I think it will. And if it does, then I think that IREN, it just needs a little bit more energy to kind of push through this arc up here. All it needs is just a little bit of volume to push you through and get back to double digits, which I think it will do because it's been forming higher highs and higher lows. WULF, and I won't talk about every single one of them. WULF is one that I do own, and what has it been doing? Market symmetry, right? GAN square resistance here at the ARK, rejection, came back test to ARK, came back, got closer to ARK, didn't quite make it through, got rejected at 0.5, came back down, back test the angle here, right? It's been hugging the angle all the way up. I think it's building up a lot of energy to push through this ARK to probably get to 0.618 here to like $8, which is going to be some resistance levels over here too. But yeah, look, I can't be bearish on this chart. Like, look at the monthly here. I can't be bearish on this chart, right? I can't be bearish when things just look like the 20-month just shooting up and it's just trying to break above the upper Bollinger Band here, but just been holding off back as resistance, right? WULF looks very, very bullish. WULF looks like it wants to go higher. But yeah, I mean, Bollinger Band is like having a little bit of contraction here, but overall, it still looks like it wants to go higher. It's on the monthly Ichimoku is probably one of the more bullish ones, right? Even IREN's underneath resistance, CIFR's underneath resistance, right? Bitfarm underneath resistance, Mara underneath resistance. CleanSpark, don't even talk about it, but WULF is one that has actually flipped these Tenkan Kijun lines from resistance to support. Everybody asked me about CORZ. There's really not a whole heck of a lot I can really chart on CORZ. All I can say is it had this breakout of this horizontal zone over here around like 10, $11. It looks like it wants to go higher. The only concern I had was that it was going up on higher on bearish divergence, but it's also going up on bearish divergence, but is breaking out like, above this trend line. So I think that it probably wants to go higher. I don't think it's over yet for CORZ. I think it probably wants to gravitate up to like maybe like 16 or something like that before it hits any major resistance here again. BTBT, another position that I have, got back inside the cloud. It's just stuck underneath this arc over here. I'm not going to talk too much about it. RIOT, it came back down, back tested the horizontal zone over here, which is very important back here. And it's reclaiming the Tenkan here from resistance to support. Still underneath this arc, has to break about $9 before it does anything. You also are basically talking about a lot of, even like RSI resistance here. I can totally see that whenever it gets to $9, it might have some RSI resistance here to kind of trying to push above before going back to the cloud. The cloud's all the way up here around like $12. This is one of the weaker miners, and even the monthly chart here really has not been that favorable, because the monthly chart here is still underneath the 20-month moving average. Granted, all it takes just a little bit of volume, because downtrend over here has been going on down volume. All it takes just a little bit of volume to kind of get back to the mean here. And if it gets back to the mean and it's still positive sloping, it might probably end up hovering around that for a little bit before pushing up. But it's a laggard. It's a laggard. Money probably end up rotating to RIOT later on, but it's a laggard. HUT, I'm not bearish on HUT. It reclaimed the 20-month moving average, which is very important to consider. So I'm okay. I don't feel like I need to go into HUT, but it's a pretty decent setup actually, as where it is right now. Price target for IREN, I can give you some price targets, but it might be a little bit too early, to be honest. Let me get rid of the Bollinger Band here. If you break about this arc and you're able to get back to the horizontal line over here, you're able to push about the 0.786. If you're able to push about the 0.786, then you talk about the arcs up here. You're talking about the 20s. I think it will break the high here. Actually, I don't know why it's not magnet. Sorry, the numbers may. There you go. If you break about the all-time high here, which is possible for IREN, then you're talking about some of the arc levels up here, right? Like in the 60s and 70s, potentially like 110, right? Is it going to get up there? I don't know, man. Like I have no idea. So far, this is like a lock-in. So I think the linear game might give you a little bit more targets here. Can it hit like the $100 up here? Possible, but you have a lot of resistance to push through, right? Let's hypothesize if IWM gets up to 300 plus, if Bitcoin gets to 6 figures, I think you can hit potentially at like these levels up about here, like the 1.618. I think it's possible. $45 is possible. $72 is possible, right? To hit some of the arcs up here, I think it's possible, and that could be the end of the cycle. Could it push a little bit further and hit like the line up here around like 110? Possible, right? But look at how much resistance you have to push through before you get there, right? So I'm just gonna sit back and saying, I think IREN is forming higher lows and higher highs. It's underneath resistance. Let's just do it. Let it do its thing. I'm not gonna do too much about it. We gonna make it. What do I think about it? I think it's a pretty good ETF. I think it's trying to break above the horizontal line over here around like 18.5 to like 20. You can see a pretty clear zone that is underneath resistance right now, which is this whole zone right here, right? You can see that it's underneath resistance. Do I feel bullish on it? Yeah, I think I feel bullish on the whole mining sector as a whole. 20-month moving average pointing up. So if you don't want to deal with the individual miners, you just want to do something you can get on WGMI, I think it's fine. And it's actually looking at performing better than like Mara and RIOT and even CleanSpark, currently is holding up pretty well, right? So yeah, if you want to, even Ichimoku is stuck in a range here. So it looks like it's pretty decent, right? If you want to get into that, I think it's fine. But yeah, I don't have much else to say about it. Margin call. Let's do again here if you want me to, because you're a member, and I'm gonna draw a crappy GAN for you. Magnet from here go up. It doesn't have as much price history, so I'm gonna go all the way to like 360 here. I'm gonna make that a number one. Do I see any market symmetry here? A little bit. It got rejected. The arc pushed through, got rejected here at the horizontal, came back down. Now it's just kind of stuck inside the arc here, right? Sometimes I wonder if I get better market symmetry for these like early charts if I do like 0.5. Not much. It's not that great. I think 1 is usually kind of where you need to start here. Yeah, it needs to break above like $24. But before that, there's a huge resistance zone here around 20, right? And that's where the arc is too. So I think we'll see what happens if we break about the arc here and then back test the arc around like 20 to 18. and then you have to go through the 25 zone over here. Then you're talking about some of the higher levels up here. I do think that for something like WGMI, hitting the arc up here around like the 80s and 90s, if IWM, if Bitcoin does really well to break through like one arc and get to the next arc, is entirely possible. But you're at resistance, so let's not go crazy here. All right, water time. Hang on just a second, drink some water. I'm back. All right. There are a couple of requests, one by one of our members. So I'm going to go straight to that. And then I'll go back to Ethereum and to Dogecoin here a little bit. ASPN, I've charted this before. Big giant cup. You're just basically consulting sideways over here. I want to the first thing I generally look at, I think you look at a weekly chart. If you want to be lazy, you just put the Ichimoku cloud, see what it's doing. It's about the cloud. Is it holding support here? It looks like it's stuck in a range, but for the most part, it still looks like it's just kind of grounding up here. Can go back to the top of the cloud here around like 21 or even 20 before going up higher. Possible. It doesn't have to, right? But the cloud has been a pretty significant resistance and support zone here for this stock. You can see that, right? Some stocks doesn't respect the weekly cloud. The stocks, the personality of the stock seem to want to do that. So that's one thing to pay attention to. If you just look at the monthly Ichimoku cloud, it's at support, it had a bullish cross over here. It looks like once it gravitated up towards the cloud, maybe after it come back and back test it here a little bit more, who knows, right? But I think it does want to gravitate up to the cloud here, but you have a big cloud resistance. What do I expect to happen? Well, it's a big giant cup here, right? It's been forming a little bit of a handle. The handle might last for a little bit longer inside the cloud before breakout is kind of what I'm thinking. But am I bearish on this chart? No, because it looks like there's a very, very nice rising 20-month moving average. You are underneath this volume shelf support here. Could it go back down to like 18? There's always that possibility, but right now you're at support at a lot of different things here, including the Ichimoku. But again, like where's the red line, right? Around 19. So I guess possible, but I think at this point, looking at market structure, it wants to get inside the cloud, maybe bounce around a little bit before breaking out above. That's what looks like most likely scenario to happen, right? Now, the other thing to look at is, let's just do a quick fit retracement here from the top here to the bottom. Are we seeing any potential fit level bouncing? Not really. I mean, it's just been hugging the 0.618. I'm not really seeing too much here. So let me just draw a quick scan here, see whether or not I see anything. And I'm going to do that here on a weekly time frame. And on a weekly time frame, I'm going to draw it from, let's see, why don't we draw it from here at the bottom just for fun? I feel like this is like a fun, like a watercoloring class. Like, why don't I just do this for fun? What do you guys think about this this color here? So is in the multiple, it's going to be 720 because you want it to be multiples of 45. And here I'm just going to do the generic beautiful market structure, and it does. I love the great Masby. I love the great Masby. He's the GAN master, and he got me into all this crap. I can't go back now. Anyway, it's just been hitting arc after arc after arc correction, right? Back down to the arc, broke down the arc, back test the horizontal here, found support. What is it doing? Back to this arc over here. What is it doing right now? Back test the bottom of the arc. Could it go down and hit this level over here around like 21 potential, right? There's a lot of confluence here potentially, right? Could it go down like maybe closer to here at the angle over here and touch the cloud and go up higher potential, right? Anyway, we're at support here on the GAN. Probably more upside than downside. Where is that? Because it's higher highs and higher lows. That's what I think about ASPN. Sorry if that was a little bit of a mess. I just love doing these kinds of things. But I think we got more support, that we're closer to support than we are to like resistance. I guess that's and we're range bound right now, right? We're close to support, we're range bound, right? We're closer to support than we are resistance. That's all I gotta say about it. I can do them all day. I can, but I can't. I don't have the voice for it. That's what frustrates me about it. I can chart all day, and when I type, I can type like all day. Like I love doing this stuff, but like I just can't talk all day, and I can't type all day, and there's only so much I can do. It's really hard to chart these like EView these 2x because there's not a whole lot of history to chart. So I'm gonna just do Ethereum because it's just really difficult to do that. Now Ethereum, I do have. Is this the appropriate GAN here? Or did I do a 2-week chart? No, I didn't. Close enough, right? 100, 360, 100. This is the weekly chart Ethereum. If you just do it from the cycle low and you do 360 and 100 on the GAN, this is what you get. Beautiful market symmetry, rejection here at the horizontal, came back down, back test the arc, building up some energy, wants to break through the arc. Probably going to get some resistance here at the angle after it does that. I think it's getting ready to do that, to be honest. But you might end up getting some resistance up here. Where is it on the Ichimoku? Well, the Ichimoku, the top of the Ichimoku cloud is also around here too, right? So you probably end up getting some resistance here when it gets there. But I still think that overall it's been forming higher highs and higher lows. There are a couple of really like good things I'm seeing here with Ethereum. Actually, this time frame may not be the best for this, but I think it's important to take into consideration too. If I do a monthly chart, I can show you a lot more because the monthly Ichimoku is going to be support zone here. So far, we're right at the monthly Ichimoku cloud. And I think it's probably going to end up serving as support. And we get all these wicks over here, kind of like we had these wicks over here, right? What happens after we find support over here 3 months in a row? Probably going to go up. Why are we finding some pretty key support zone over here? Well, if you do from this cycle high here to this cycle low over here, and if you don't do a Fib and log scale, but you do a linear, you can see kind of exactly what's happening over here. Take away the Ichimoku here. Price, this is what it's been doing with Fib levels, right? It's been pushed up to the 3.618 Fib level from the last bull market over here. Got rejected not almost to the dollar, like by like $30 or something like that, right? What did it do? Came back down, big flush down. Where did it end up getting support at? It was 0.618, right? And from 0.618, it pushes through and it back tested at the 0.786 again, right? Found support. What happens after that? Push through the 1.618 to the 2.618 level here, huffing around here for a while. Was not able to break through. Came back tested the 1.618 here. Found support. Where's it going to go? Back to 2.618 and challenge it again, right? Probably higher. This is kind of what I'm seeing here with Ethereum. What else am I seeing here with Ethereum? Well, it's finding support here, just like a lot of the miners that I've been showing you, and just like a lot of altcoins that I'm probably going to show you. Maybe if I have a chance to do that, we'll see. Is serving as support, right? Like I'm not making any of this stuff up. It's the 20-month moving average has flipped from resistance to support. This is bullish, right? So if you are into EView, again, I cannot really chart it very well, but the underlying asset of Ethereum looks good. Now, you can argue that it has underperformed Bitcoin over the last few months, and I would say I agree with you. Yes, does it have to continue to underperform Bitcoin moving forward? The answer is, number one answer is I don't know. Number two answer is probably. Ethereum is probably find a really good support zone over here with this Ethereum over Bitcoin chart, which again is a ratio chart, so I shouldn't use log. But you can see that it's basically just backtesting this horizontal breakout over here, right? If it's going to find support, I think this ETH over Bitcoin chart has found support over here. there are, I can show you that, but there are like on the weekly and 2-week time frame, there's a lot of bullish divergence that's building up here for like a whole year now. So yeah, I think Ethereum is going to hold pretty well. I think Ethereum is going to be pretty decent moving forward, right? If you're going to ask about Dogecoin, I'm just going to say like it has really been doing very well, holding up against Bitcoin extremely well, even when Bitcoin went underneath 60,000. Doge didn't go back to didn't go back to under 10 cents again. Is holding extremely well, is respecting the technicals extremely well. The 20-month moving average is still pointing up here a little bit, right? And I still expect a big move to come. Is it going to be a big giant move like it did over here during the last cycle? No, I don't expect that to happen, but I do expect a bigger move to come moving forward. If you ask me what my potential target for Doge, and I'm being like, a little bit more of like a conservative way to think about it would be some people would take profits up here around like the 0.618 or 0.786, and they don't think that Dogecoin is going to make more highs here again. Some people might even just start taking profits over here, right? Which is not unreasonable because there's a big giant arc here. We got rejected here almost perfectly to the dollar last cycle, right? Last cycle pushed through like 2 arcs. Yeah, 1 arc, 2 arc, and got through the 3rd arc, got rejected, came back down, back tested the arc over here, found support, right? So it's going to gravitate up back to this arc over here around 40 cents, around 50 cents. If it breaks through that, it's going to go to a horizontal zone over here, which is $1. If it breaks through that, it's going to go up to the angle up here, which is $2. If it breaks through that, can hit like $4, $5, $6. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I'd probably be taking profits a lot higher, no, a lot lower than that. But sometimes you just have to let these things play out and see. Like so far, I don't even know like how far Doge would go. I really don't. All I know is that it's going higher. But if you ask me like how high it goes, I think it's reasonable that it hits $1, or $1, and well, actually, yeah, $1.02, something like that. I think it's possible. Can it go higher? Sure. I don't know how high, right? But that's Doge. Like I can't be bearish on this chart. I just cannot. I cannot. I cannot. I can keep saying that, but that's true. On the weekly, Ichimoku is still underneath the Ichimoku cloud here, but on the 2-week here, it's inside. It tested the bottom of the 2-week cloud. It's doing a little bit of a different thing compared to last cycle. Last cycle, it just got stuck underneath. Look back at the cloud, it just pushed through like butter, right? Here, the cycle is a little bit different. Push through the cloud, back test the bottom of the cloud, right? I guess we kind of did that here a little bit, but we truly back test the bottom of the cloud here, consolidating size, trying to figure out some of these technicals, trying to reclaim the Tengen here from resistance to support, which I think will happen. Push through the cloud at a spot that's vulnerable and go higher. That's what I think Doge is probably going to do. So yeah, I'm done with Doge. Not a whole lot of requests for the other altcoins here. So let's get straight to business. I had a video that's members only on MSTR, so I probably won't talk too much about it. All I have to say is I think MicroStrategy is probably going to go higher. I'm not going to share like all the technicals there because I'm going to reserve that for Danny, for Matt, and for my members. All I have to say is you got 3 white soldiers here on the 2-week chart, and it's bouncing off the tank very strongly. So it's going up higher, where it's going to go around the low 300s is where I think it's probably going to go next. And what happens after that, I don't know. All I have to say is another thing to say is like you basically have on the last cycle here, the Tengen and Kitchen here, the blue line and red line here are resistance. Here, you flip resistance from resistance to support is going higher. How much higher? I do not know, right? I can do the 3-month chart here. I'm showing the same thing, right? Flip resistance here to support is going higher. How much higher? I don't know, right? One step at a time, get to 300s, maybe 330, 340, and then we'll talk, right? But that's kind of my thought on MicroStrategy. Just to kind of knock that out of the way. Rocket Lab. A lot of people are been pretty bullish. I see why people are bullish because the 3-month candle looks like a God candle. That's why. And the 1-month candle looks like a God candle too. That's why. That's why you guys are bullish on it. Are you supposed to keep being bullish on it? Well, let's look at some of the indicators here. This candle here got way outside upper Bollinger Band, so it ended up going sideways here. It's still way outside upper Bollinger Band, guys. It decided to kind of come back and just touch it. I don't know. I don't know. It's pretty parabolic. I don't like to chase something like this, but you have a katana here on the monthly. The Kijun and Tenkan has merged because of how impulsive this price action is. Man, I think this thing is going much higher. Make no mistake about it. I think this thing is going much higher. I just don't know what it's going to do short term. I don't know. It's going to come back from like $10 to like 8, 7. I mean, I don't know. Is it going to come back and backtest like $7? I don't know. But I think this thing is going higher over time. This is very, very impulsive. Wow. Yeah, I probably wouldn't be a buyer here because if you're buying here, you're buying at resistance, right? Previous support here, flip into resistance, backtest it here, failed to pass through, plummeted down here. We got back to this level here, and price has spent the entire year at this current level that we just got to, right? So I'm not sure about this. I think it's going to go higher in 2025. But if you buy here, there might be a back test to like $7. Let's just kind of put it that way. Does it have to? No. Am I an idiot? Yes. So you guys do what you think is best. Now, in a situation like this, when the Ichimoku is not telling you what's going to happen next on the weekly and the monthly time frame, even though I think overall time-wise it's going to go up higher on a lot higher time frame, but I don't know how far it's going to correct down. In a situation like this, I look to the great Matsby and I say, "Hey, Matsby, what do you think is going to happen?" And he's going to say, "I don't know. Look at the GAN." I don't have much price history here though with the GAN because you really this is like a lower low here. So if I do a GAN, it's going to I don't have much history here, unfortunately. But I'm going to do it anyway. And oh yeah, another thing to show you why Rocket Lab bounced so hard is because I drew these things. I forgot I even drew these things. This is a perfect Wyckoff, and you have a trend line back test. These things are like beautiful. I forgot I even drew these things, but I'm going to delete it now because it's not relevant anymore. And I only have so much price history, right? So I'm going to do it from here going on up, and I'm going to just do like 180. Yeah, 180 is fine, and then 180 and maybe like 1 and see what I'm doing. And it's hitting resistance, right? I'm not making this up. It's hitting resistance. At the angle here and as well as the arc up here, right? So let me see. Maybe 180 is not a good number, right? Let's do 90. That's a multiple of 45, right? And I change that to 1. What am I seeing here? Well, it broke inside an arc, and I guess it's back testing the arc down here. It could go up a little bit higher potentially, maybe like even wake up here to like 10.5, but it's still underneath resistance. So I hate to be like hedging. All I'm gonna say is at resistance. You buy now, you might be into like some short-term pain, either through sideways or price. But long term is going up higher. If you can tolerate that potential, I'm not saying that it's going to happen, right? None of these things are deterministic. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if you can tolerate a potential downside of 30%, then you deserve to make a lot higher gains moving forward. That's all I gotta say, because that's what it is looking like to me. If you do a FIP level, another thing too is at the 0.382. Like you're talking about multiple levels of resistance here. I don't know if I want to buy it right at where is that right now. I just don't know, right? So yeah, I guess be a little bit cautious. If you're gonna buy, just know that what you're getting into. I wouldn't be like degen leverage into short-term calls or anything like that just to chase momentum. But yeah, I think it's a good idea to maybe be a little bit more cautious here, understanding that what your risk tolerances are and kind of take it from there, right? Not financial advice. Guys, I feel so annoying saying that. Let's see. La 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 la. So I'm trying to see how what other people have different requests. I'm gonna get to a couple of these requests here. Somebody asked about GME. Nothing's happened with GME. I don't know if there's a leverage Rocket Lab. I wouldn't get into it if that's the case. So let's look at GME because I think I've already answered all my members' questions. And NVIDIA, that's a good one. I would love to show NVIDIA. GME, what's GME doing? I think I drew this on the monthly. Yeah, I drew this on the monthly. It's just stuck in a range. And I think that it's not going to necessarily gravitate back down to like $15. I think that's going to be a downside risk. I think we are finding support here from multiple sources, and it's just been consolidating sideways. I think the sideways chop here is absolutely meaningless because there's no volume. And I think that you're going to have having some pretty decent support here because the 20-month moving average is still curling up. It's flat. It's still curling up. It's going to take some patience. But because there's no volume, all it takes just a little volume to come in, and this thing could fly. But it's just no volume yet. I don't know when they want to pump this. Look for the next Roaring Kitty tweet, right? I don't know, but it's found support here at a 20. So I find it to be unlikely that it's going to like plummet down to a 15. Like that's just not what I would expect it to do. And also on the weekly chart, it's just been forming a little bit of a triangle here, right? I don't think it's really like a descending triangle. It's just like going to plummet down. There's really no volume. Like I really, there's just no volume at all. And it's been holding the cloud here on the weekly here. Initially, I was hoping to flip the Tenkan here from like resistance to support. It just hasn't had enough volume to do that. Like so far, like nobody cares about GME except for people who ask about GME. Like if you're not in the stock, like you don't care because there's no volume. But people who are in it are absolutely committed to it. I favor that it's going to hold the weekly cloud. I favor it's going to hold the 20-month moving average, and it's just been going sideways. So I don't have a whole lot of things to say about it. I do think that it's going to challenge the arc up here, and I do think that it's been rejected here multiple times over the last 4 years. So I think that it's probably going to end up pushing through, and it pushed through this arc up here. Where is it going to go to? It's going to go up to, well, first of all, it's got like a little bit of Ichimoku cloud resistance here around like 60. If it pushes through the Ichimoku cloud here in the 60s, then you're talking about like $75. If it pushes through that, then you're talking about like some of these higher crazy targets over here, like 100, 200, somewhere around there, right? Or even potentially like 370 or something like that. The downside risk is 15. That's kind of what I'm seeing because you already backtested the arc over here and bounced, right? So I think that the worst they can do would be 15 for now, right? I don't know anything. Don't listen to me, okay? But that's kind of what I'm seeing here. So I just have a hard time seeing this thing like going down with global liquidity going up, with IWM going up. And you have like a lot of these like meme stocks are probably going to do pretty well. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking about GME. Nothing has changed from the video that I did from a couple weeks ago, and I just don't want to make another one for engagement. I just like there's no need for that. So Solana, I think there's man, I'm gonna chop that down a list here too. Let's talk about NVIDIA and Tesla. Those are the big ones. Let's talk about NVIDIA and Tesla. What are they doing? I have again here that I drew from history, and this is a monthly 720 and 5. It's been following market symmetry absolutely beautifully. Why did NVIDIA do absolutely nothing over the last few months? it got stuck underneath the again arc over here. So far, what's October doing so far? We had a breakout, right? You can feel the breakout. I don't need to tell you that we had a breakout. You can feel it. People are not that bullish on NVIDIA, but I think that NVIDIA, if the breakout is true, I think it's probably going to gravitate up here towards like the 350 zone. I think that's probably where price is going to end up ending. I think that's probably where the cycle is ending. I do see the lower Bollinger Band here crawling back up here, so there might be some signs for some trend exhaustion, right? Kind of like how you had the trend exhaustion like right around here, right? But you can still potentially price can go up. It didn't even hit the arc up here, right? So maybe it won't hit the horizontal up here, but it looks like price wants to break out, and if it does, I think the next logical area would be around 350. Same thing. You look at the Fibonacci retracement here. You're already outside of all of these linear Fib levels. Look at the log here. I don't think it's going to hit like 730. Like another, if it doesn't hit up here at 350, you could hit up here around the 227, 228, and that could potentially be a cycle top. I don't know, but I just have a hard time seeing like Nvidia stopping at 2.618. Probably going to go up higher, but I cannot argue with the Bollinger Band contraction. We'll see. The month is still early. If the monthly candle close get back to like 140s, 150s, then I can potentially see that the Bollinger Band won't get as contracted. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing here in terms of Nvidia. It broke out and wants to go higher. How much higher, we have to see. We basically have gone horizontal here for quite some time. This area over here reminds me of this area over here, right? So because of that, I think that this candle might go up higher and may touch the upper Bollinger Band to close the month for October. That's kind of what I'm seeing here. On a lower time frame stuff, I don't really care. I don't. You can look over here. Why do I think it's going to have a big move coming? We got a Bollinger Band squeeze here. Prices got back above the 20-week moving average. It's going to go up higher. Could it close the month at like 140s and 150s? Possible. Form an all-time high. Possible. That's what it looks like it's getting set up here. So yeah, I think minimally to the 220s, if not higher. NVIDIA. Tesla. I did a video on Tesla on Friday. My thoughts still haven't changed. I think we're still just going real quick here. I have nothing else to add. We got more support here than resistance. The bar support band is still support, right? We're kind of broken down a little bit underneath the Ichimoku and broken down, below the Tenkan here. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to do this thing. I'm just going to pull like the whole kitchen sink over here, right? You are talking about a huge amount of support zone over here, just like what Bitcoin went through last week. You're talking about a huge amount of support zone over here. So I think that I'm going to give the support here benefit of a doubt, especially if the bar support band is going up, right? So I'm going to give this all these support zone here benefit of a doubt. And I'm also going to give the 2-week Ichimoku cloud here a little bit of a benefit of the doubt here. Last time we wicked above it and we end up closing this candle underneath, right? This time, this candle is not going to close until next week. So right now it's below. I think there's a chance, because you're talking about the bottom of the cloud on the 2-week, and also you're talking about the confluence here with the Tenkan rising up. I think there's a chance where next week, when this candle closes, it's going to close back above like 224, 225. What happens after that, I don't know. But so far, I'm not really bearish on Tesla. I think that it's gotten way too far overextended to the downside. And I think that it can keep going downwards. Sure, it can, right? But it's way underneath not way underneath, but it's like it just kind of went from here all the way down to the low Bollinger Band, right? Probably a little bit more sideways, but I think things might be a little bit overextended to the downside. Can hang up around like the 2 teens or so before going up again over the next few days. Maybe more shakeout on Monday, maybe more shakeout for the rest of the week. Possible, right? But I do think that this is probably a much better area to buy than it was up here, right? And I'm more inclined to buy when things are right around here because the longer term things really haven't changed. Like if you zoom out to the monthly, nothing has changed. Like there are a lot of things that flip bullish here. The 20-month moving average is pointing up now from downward sloping, is holding support. I talked about Tesla with the guys like this morning, guys plus Heidi, I guess. Like it's holding that as support, right? And it's also holding the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud here as support, right? And there's still a lot more support down here below. So right now, if you're talking about things getting stuck in the range, you're supposed to buy the bottom range when things are scary, when people are calling for lower prices, right? So that's what I'm more inclined to do. I'm actually glad that I have more chances more to buy into Tesla. But yeah, I'm happy. Like I'm fine. I would like to keep accumulating Tesla here because I'm seeing some fundamental shift here on the overall trend on a higher time frame, right? Like I'm not bearish here at support. And when I'm talking about support, it's not just like one number; it's a whole zone. This is a support zone, right? So yeah, I'm not bearish on this. If you want to talk about SOFI pullback zone, again, SOFI, I have a separate video. It's bullish. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I have a separate video for members. You're talking about pullback zone. I always like to look at Ichimoku cloud. If it breaks through about the Ichimoku cloud, it can pull back down to like 8.2, or maybe the week after like 8 point around like $8. I can see that happening. Does it have to happen? No, not necessarily. I don't think it's going to go all the way down to like the 20-week moving average. But I think that overall things are looking pretty decent for SoFi. I don't think it's going to come back down further. But yeah, like pullback, you're talking about, from like $9, how far you can go. You can always go back to the 20-month moving average. That's always possible. I'd say $8 is probably reasonable because price has just been underneath $8 for so long. And it just makes sense to tap $8 to back test that before going up higher. So that's my zone. Solana. You got Solana. This basically looks like Bitcoin. I'm not going to go too much into it. Why I say that is because if you look at the weekly, I memorized these charts. It's basically just tabbing the Ichimoku cloud. It's doing that more so than Bitcoin. It's tabbing the Ichimoku cloud, trying to find support. Looks like it's probably going to go higher after it's done consolidating. It's stuck in a range. It's boring. I don't have much else to say about it short term. On a long term, I think it just looks like Bitcoin, which is a compliment, really, because it's actually holding up pretty well, forming a very nice bull flag here. If you're asking me in terms of where I think like Solana can make to this cycle, I'm not gonna speculate anything crazy, but I do think that 1.618 and 2.618 are reasonable targets to get to. I do worry that because Solana had gone from $8 all the way to like 200, it might pull a lot of the gains forward already. So it might not be one of the crazy outperformers for the remainder of the cycle. But could it go like a 4x, 5x, 6x, or even 8x? Certainly possible for Solana if Bitcoin's does really well, right? But yeah, I'm not even going to talk too much about Solana because I think that it's at support. It looks like it's primed to go higher. The question is, if you break down underneath support here on the weekly, then yeah, I mean, I guess you can double tap this area around 110. That's the downside risk, right? Which is potentially pretty brutal for you, like 20% down. That's the downside risk, but it would be very good support down here. Upside risk somewhere up here. If Bitcoin takes off, Solana probably do pretty well. A couple other charts that somebody have asked about. ACH. I don't know what this is. I hope I found the right one. I think I can't even get back to it anymore in terms of yeah. Anyway, yeah, let's not do this because I'm not sure if I have the right chart. One of my members asked about bots. That's funny. AI. Are you bullish or bearish on this chart? I'm going to take a step back here. Are you bullish or bearish on this chart? Alchemy play. Okay, I'm gonna go back and look at that on ACH here in a second. Are you bullish or bearish on bots? Anybody? Nobody. Well, it looks like it wants to break about this range up here, right? I mean, like it's just about to turn bullish. Yeah, I mean, like I don't have much else to say. Really, it looks. I'm gonna turn off the magnet so I can draw. Like it looks like it wants to break above this area here, and when it breaks above, it's gonna go a lot higher. I don't have much else to say. Like you can do cup and handle all day long. You can talk about all this stuff all day long. Let's look at some objective indicators here. Man, these are really nice wicks. I love this chart. I knew that it was going to backtest the 20 without even pulling it up, and it did. It broke above the monthly Ichimoku and looks like it wants to go higher. The only thing that's stopping it is this horizontal resistance level over here. Everything else says that it's primed to go higher. So, I mean, I wouldn't like buying resistance per se, but I don't want to be too bullish on resistance per se. But if you're going to have a time where you're bullish on resistance, maybe this is one of those times. I don't know. Maybe never. You should never be bullish on resistance. But yeah, I don't know. Let's do it again for fun, shall we? I love watercoloring. We'll do again on a monthly because I'm too lazy to drag too much. 180 would be where I would want the duration to be. And one may be a little bit too far, but yeah, there's not enough history to do one. Let's do point. Whoa, 0.1 doesn't work either. Let's do 0.5. Market symmetry right there. Not making this up. The great math speed is like insane. Anyway, yeah, we're at resistance. Break about this area over here. You're talking about the arc up here in the 40s, right? Are there any like FIP levels that could be potentially confluence? Let's look. $40 would be the previous high. If you break above that zone, yeah, I'm not sure. Like 1.618 is kind of like up here. I don't know. I mean, I think this thing can easily, if it breaks about here, it can easily go up to and break this arc here and go to the next arc and hit like the horizontal line up here with the arc up here. I think it is possible for it to do that. If you're picturing this to be like a cup over here, right? And the cup went all the way down to like $17, and the line up here it was like 32. Then, man, I'm an Asian cat. I'm supposed to be able to do math, right? 32 minus 18. Blanking out here, 14, right? So 32 plus 14. You're talking about 46. It's going to be the target for this breakout of this cup over here, which is going to be kind of confluent to this area up here. So that would be the breakout of this horizontal line up here. Would be getting to like the arc and angles up here. Yeah, that's all I have to say. But yeah, we have resistance, so good luck. I'm gonna go back to ACH because you were mentioning this could be like a alchemy type play. This is the right chart, right? I hope so. The way to look at it, it looks like there is a deceleration here. This is one of those instances that I like to look and see because it still looks like a downtrend. I want to make sure that I'm seeing some level bullish divergence. I'm not seeing on 2 week, but on the weekly here, I'm seeing overall you have a little bit of bullish divergence here. Oh, it's a wrong one. What is it then? Alchemy play. Anyway, sorry. If you can give me the right ticker symbol here, I'll do it. ADA. First of all, before I do ADA, I think somebody asked about SAMP, which is not a stock, so I'm not going to do that. All right, let's do ADA then. I actually have Cardano. Yeah, I'm not embarrassed to say it. I have a position in Cardano. Oh, ACH is an altcoin. I'll get to it. Cardano. How did I draw this GAN? Whenever I see a GAN, I'm just like, did I do it the right way? 14401. I did. I drew these possible targets here for you, which means that if you search on X, you'll find it. How is it doing so far? I think it's doing pretty great. It's holding the angle here as support, and it looks like it probably wants to challenge the arc up here, right? It looks like it probably wants to go up to these higher targets, right? The key zones, I think it's going to break through this arc eventually. I think it's going to hit the horizontal here, 0.5. I don't know whether or not that's going to be the end of the cycle, or if it does go through, I think it potentially hit like some of these higher targets up here. It depends on where it hits, right? If it hits like somewhere around here, then it might be like $5, and that would be it, right? But if it hits earlier, then it might be 7. I don't know where it's going to hit, but I think it's going to do pretty decent compared to where it's going to be. I think it's probably going to be at least like 5x, if not like potentially like 10 or 15x. I think it's entirely possible for this to happen. We're expecting it again pretty well. In terms of the arc here, in terms of arc, the angle here, in terms of arc here, in terms of arc here, we're expecting again pretty well. So I'm gonna say like $1.50, and then maybe $5 to $7 before, depending on if it pushes through here, if it hits the targets up here, right? So that's ADA. I should be, now that I know it's an altcoin, I can find alchemy. Okay, I just didn't know it was a stock or altcoin. Man, this looks like XRP. I think I charted this before. The great Massby would love it. It looks like XRP. Yeah, okay. I'll do a little bit of a trend line here. What is it doing right now? Like, it looks bullish, right? Just look at this. It looks bullish, right? And if you just do a monthly here, look at some of the more objective things. It's I don't know what it's trying to do. It's just consolidating sideways. I usually like the 20-month moving average to not be resistance. So I don't know. That gives me a little bit of a pulse here. Ichimoku, yeah, still kind of underneath, and underneath the weekly Ichimoku here too, right? So I think all of this makes sense. It's underneath a lot of resistance. It's trying to reclaim some of these resistance back in support. It looks like it wants to gravitate up towards a higher level, maybe like maybe like 3 cents level, right? It looks like it wants to do that, but in a higher time frame, it's just needing a little bit of hymns, if you will, to try and get it back above, because right now it's still underneath resistance, so it's not ready yet. That's my message for you. Yeah, it's still underneath a lot of resistance, but it did break above a trend line here, which means that it probably wants to gravitate up higher. Even if it means it's underneath resistance, it means probably we're going to take a little bit more time to go up higher over time, but I don't think it's ready yet. So, which is nothing bad about it. Like it's a lot of altcoins are not ready. Let me see here. I'm going to do again here just for fun. I'm going to do it on the weekly here. I need my magnet. Otherwise, I'm just doing in space. I do it again here. And what I'm going to do here is to pick an interval. I think 360 would be a good one for this. Give me some good market symmetry here. 360. And I'm going to do 0.01. Yeah, I don't know. Is still in space. I would like to see a little bit more support here before being a little bit too, more bullish on it. Let's see if I do 0.001 now. That gives me a different market symmetry, right? Instead of it being in space, hey, could it be hitting the arc over here, found support, and just riding up the angle, right? I can see it riding up the angle, but I can see it doing very slowly, right? I can see it riding up the angle and maybe get up to the Ichimoku cloud. I can see that. Yeah. So those are my thoughts. But it's just probably going to be a little bit slower here. I'm sorry, man. What do I think about Bitcoin Cash? I think that I don't want to own it too much because it's just got rejected here in April at the monthly Ichimoku cloud, and it's just been kind of hanging in space. But it's also backtested this level. This is how a lot of altcoins look actually. But it's just one of those that, like, I can see that going higher because the 20-month moving average is pointing up. But I just I don't feel too strongly about it one way or another because it hasn't made a higher high for 7 years now. So it probably will go up higher, but I just don't know, in terms of how high it would go this cycle. I do not know. So I would probably leave it alone, would be my thoughts. Whew. SoundHound. Somebody asked about SoundHound. I hope you didn't hear it. Oh, SoundHound. Yeah, pull this up here. I'm going to delete this thing here. I charted this a long time ago. I haven't touched this for a very long time. Nobody's asked me for this for a very long time because it's done nothing for a very long time. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like it's just been oscillating, forming a flag here. It could break one way or another. It doesn't. Yeah, 20 is pointing up. I suppose it's going to go up. I guess. I suppose it's really hard for me to chart something like this. Not much history in the past, hasn't formed a high yet, but overall, it did form a higher high here compared to here. Overall, the 20-month moving average is telling me that, hey, this is a bull trend here because of this big giant green candle. So I think it's going to go up. Now are we at some important support levels here? Let's put up some Ichimoku. Looks like we're underneath resistance here. What about the weekly? Weekly, we're underneath resistance here. What about the 2 week? We're underneath resistance here, right? So this is still not ready yet. It's really hard for me to chart this, right? Again, when in doubt, what do? Let's scan it. Let's scan it just for fun. 180. I think 180 would be a good one for this. And well, we start with 1. Does 1 give me a good market symmetry? No, it doesn't. I'm going to do 0.1, which is what it looked like it wanted to do. Yeah, pretty decent market symmetry. It looks like we're holding an angle up. If we're able to hold the angle, you still got a lot of resistance up here, right? That's the thing. You got a lot of resistance around, like, around $5 to $6 or $5 to $5.50, somewhere around there. So we'll see how it reacts. If it breaks it, then higher we go. If it doesn't, yeah. But we're at support, so be bullish at support until it gets to resistance. I don't know what to say after that. I don't have a good read on SoundHound. So what else? My throat sound dry. Thank you. Am I done here? Am I done here? Did I answer? No. Well, somebody asked me this stock that, like, on X that I don't know what it is. This is why they asked me. Okay. This is why they asked me. How do you chart something like this, right? Where it's just been going up. Hey, let me drink some more water here. Hang on just a second. I'll get to China, V. I'll get to China for you. Don't worry. All right. How do you chart something like this? Are we overextended? Not really, right? It's still inside of the upper Bollinger Band on the monthly. We just kind of riding the tank and up, so I don't think we're way too overextended by nothing, How do you chart something like this? Well, you do two things. One is you do the FIB level, and you try to find out where the next resistance is going to be and be more cautious about it. The 2.618 is up here 130, right? The other way you can chart it is do a mat speed here, and just do again here. And again, for this one, I'm going to do 360. By the way, I did like a members video like on how I do this log scale again. So if you're interested in that, just join the membership and just watch the video. It's not like, or you can just see what I'm doing and just do it. It's not that hard to do. You can see like I just knock it out. I just came in a Gantt chart with beautiful market symmetry here. Not much there to really look at right now. Are we at absolute resistance level? No. Could it be a resistance level up here like the 120s? Possible. Could it push through the arc up here to 130 and then back test it for a while before going up? Sure, it can. But I'll say there are two resistance level. One is the arc up here, which is going to be around like low 120s. The other resistance level is going to be up here around 130. Ultimately, the very interesting thing here is ultimately there's a little bit of confluence here to 4.236 with the horizontal zone over here. Could that be the cycle higher at the horizontal around 190 or so? Possible. Very possible. Anyway, but right now it's really hard to chart stuff like that. Like I don't know where you're going to take profit. Depends on what you buy. Depends on what your risk tolerance is, right? Because if this keeps on going up, and then if it doesn't go up anymore, if it gets up getting rejected here at the arc, where are you going to go? The 1.618 down here below again, right? That's a pretty far way down, maybe like 15-20% down. If the cycle is over, if this is parabolic bull trend, it hits the angle, that's the end of the cycle. I doubt it, but if it is, it breaks about underneath the horizontal here. Where are you going to go? Well, the arc down here, you hope the arc would hold. If not, it goes back to $50, right? So I don't like to chase. But if you ask me, I think this is a bull trend. I would not stand in the way. I think the next resistance level is going to be around like 120s to 130. It has enough juice to probably hit up to like 190. If I was in the stock, I'll hold on to it. I would not buy here. And AMP. I'll do AMP for you. Then I'm going to address Vive here. I'm not AMP. Why I have this? Why do I keep doing this like company that nobody cares about? Okay. What do I think about AMP? I think that I showed you that there's a buy signal here on the on the L3 banker, and there's a slight increase in whale this week, right? So I think it's going to play out. Last time it went up a lot higher. This time I think it's probably going to end up going higher too. I'm bullish on AMP. I have a position. I like the way that the chart looks. It's been correcting pretty brutally, but it's been correcting pretty brutally in a systematic manner, where it basically just kind of ride down the 2-week Ichimoku cloud. Guess what happens when it's done riding down the 2-week Ichimoku cloud? You have a buy signal there on the weekly, right? It looks like things are just kind of consolidating here for a little while, right? It looks like things wants to push up higher. Whenever it decides to do that, it can be extremely, extremely impulsive, right? I don't have much else to say about it. I think it's just backtesting this breakout of this level over here. Yeah, I'm bullish. I don't have much else to say about it. Baba and FUTU speedrun. To do that, I always like to talk about the Hang Seng. The Hang Seng has done nothing this month, thanks to y'all, DGen, getting all bullish up here at resistance. But currently, it's still underneath resistance here at the monthly Bollinger Band. China's going higher over the next 12, maybe 18 months, because there's a fundamental trend change here of the 20-month moving average turning from negative sloping to now it's going to be positive sloping over time. And you also have the Bollinger Band starting to expand. It's going to allow price to go up higher over time. And I keep on saying, like, how high would it go? I don't know, but I can potentially see it hitting this resistance trend line up here around, the 2800, and then we'll see. I think the bulls would get exhausted by the time it gets there, but we'll see, right? The couple of stocks that Vivian is asking is Baba. And BABA is bullish. I like BABA. How do I feel about BABA right now? Is it overextended? It does have these kind of wicks about, doesn't it? But it looks like it wants to push up higher, doesn't it? Could it potentially come back and backtest some of the lower levels down here? Allow like maybe at like 100? Maybe down further below? Yeah, I think it's entirely possible. Does it have to go all the way back down to like 84 here to backtest the 20-month moving average? I find it to be very unlikely, right? What are some of the levels? Like, that's the thing about like these breakouts. Could it? Yeah, you got a little bit of bearish engulfing here, doesn't it? Could it come back down here to like 100 and backtest Tenkan Kijun here? Sure. Could it come back down? Oh, it actually looks like it's found some pretty good support here on the weekly Tsubishi Tenkan here. But it probably, like if you ask me, probability wise speaking, and I hate to be bearish on stuff, I think it's probably going to come back down and backtest 100. It just makes sense for it to do that. Like I don't think that this is just going to keep going up. I think it's healthy backtest 100, consolidating sideways here a little bit, and then go up higher. If it doesn't hold 100, could it get back to 90? Yes, it can, right? But that would be your downside risk. I think I don't see it necessarily go down to like 80, right? Downside risk $90. Upside risk, well, we talk about that when it gets there, right? But Bollinger Band wants to expand. It wants to get there higher, potentially over the next 12 to 18 months. And I have again here. This scan is probably drawn weekly. Yeah, this scan was drawn weekly. What do I think about the scan? I think the scan is using this level here as support this week, right? Like beautiful support here this week, right? I still think it's going to go down to 100 though. I don't know if it's going to hit 90. I still think it's going to go down to 100 though. I don't know. Like this, or if it doesn't, it's probably going to consolidate sideways here for a while. It might range bound between the 0.236 and the horizontal here for a while before it breaks out. You know, I don't know. I just don't see it happening yet, right? Just because things are just still a little bit overextended, and the Bollinger Band is telling you that. That's Baba. FUTU. Yeah, I recalibrated this scan here, but FUTU is the same story. Like I think it's just way outside the upper Bollinger Band here on the weekly and the monthly, and I just have a hard time seeing it just boom, 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 could just keep going up. It can. If I'm holding a stock like this, I might keep holding, and I don't care because I would have bought down here. If I would have bought like Vivian did, I would have bought here around the 60s. Like I said, I would, I didn't. And that going down to the 50s down here might have been some short-term pain, but it would have been a lot of gains right now. And if I would have bought here, you know what I would have done? I would have probably been doing what Vivian is doing, just keep holding and just see where it takes me, right? Can it come back down and back test to like double digits? Entirely possible. Entirely possible. Do I care if I was in it? No. Could it come back down to like 85 and close the gap down here? Entirely possible, right? Entirely possible. Do I care? No. Am I able to stomach like the 30% down? Yes. But a lot of people won't. Like it makes total sense for you to take profit up here, actually. Let's see. Yeah, it makes perfect sense to take profit up here actually at the close to 0.618. I think people front ran the 0.618 here and just ended up taking profit early just because of how parabolic the bull trend has been. And it came back down here so far as holding the ARK, right? And the ARK is going to be around 108. And the 0.5, if it's able to break back above, is 112, 113, somewhere around there. Can it go down further to the 90s? Possible. 91 would be a pretty good support level, and then like 80 would be a very, very good support level. I think the downside risk would be like 90 to 80. The risk of selling here to expect a buyback down here at this level would be it just gravitates inside the arc here sideways up here, eventually finding the 0.5 as support and go up higher. So that's part of the reason why I don't like to just like sell out and try to buy back lower. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking here. I don't really have a whole lot to say about FUTU otherwise. And nano nuclear energy is looking very bullish too, right? But I don't have a whole lot of history here. So when I don't have a whole lot of history, what do you do? When in doubt, get it out. God, I hate these saying. I sound so lame. I'm sorry. Um, 90 would be a good area. If I do 90 and 1, does it give me any good market symmetry? A little bit. There's not a whole lot of history here to chart. I guess it gravity ups to the arc here, unable to find support, went back down to the lower levels, and right now it's just riding this angle up. And I guess right now is getting closer to resistance here, right? Like the arc here, you got rejected here last time. You're going to try to push above the arc. Um, I don't have much, like Ichimoku is not going to show you too much. Let's look at the daily. I hate looking at daily charts just because it's so unpredictable. You are hitting some resistance up here too, right? At the top of the Ichimoku, which is the bottom of the arc, right? So I think you might end up going sideways here for another like month or two, and then we'll just see what happens. A lot of resistance up here. After this big giant move up, I think it's just needed to digest. If you're able to break above the zone, then you're talking about some major gains. But until then, you're underneath resistance, right? Um, that's all I have to say about this. Yeah, MSTR talked about it. I don't have much else to say about it. I'll try to do some timestamps later. Um, of course, I would honor my honorable in not honorable. Are you honorable? I don't know. Um, how do you say that? Honorary. Man, I'm getting tired. My honorary unpaid intern Vivian has another request, which is Galaxy Digital Holdings. Instead of looking at the daily chart like an idiot, let's zoom out here to a higher time frame. On a higher time frame, is still bullish. I bet last time I talked about it, I said it's going to gravitate up here to the bottom of the cloud, and it's doing that. Looks like we're hitting some snag here on the horizontal, you know. But I think it's got enough juice to hit the cloud up here. Is it reasonable to take some profits here at the cloud? Sure. If Bitcoin goes up a lot higher from here, could it push through the cloud and just go to the moon? Possible. Is forming higher highs and higher lows. I don't necessarily want to bet against it just because it's underneath a thick, Ichimoku cloud. Because so is Mara. Anyway, so is CleanSpark. Anyway, if you're looking at the weekly chart here, and if you're looking at the Ichimoku, yeah, it's pretty healthy bull trend. Came back down, touched the Ichimoku cloud here on that August 5th yen carry trade scare. Bounce up, and it looks like it wants to go higher, but you're hitting a resistance zone up here. What is this resistance zone, you might ask? Well, there are two ways to find out. One is if you do a Fibonacci retracement, right? And if you do a, let me see if I do a lock scale here. 0.618, looks like it wants to break about 0.618 actually. We closed about it a couple weeks ago, was not able to hold. Now we close about 0.618 here again. Now, if you don't use this, if you don't use that right there, then you're already broken above, right? But I'm going to use that wick over there just for that. Either way, you're broken above the 0.618. After backtesting the 0.382 at the top of the Ichimoku cloud, a lot of confluence. Looks like this thing wants to go higher. How high, you may ask? Looks like it wants to go to the Ichimoku cloud up here, right? And then we'll see. We'll talk after that. Bull trend. The August 5th backtest the 20-month moving average that's rising perfectly, right? This thing's going to go higher, but it might be hitting a little bit of a snag here because of the monthly Ichimoku cloud. That's really the biggest thing that I'm seeing here with this chart. I'm going to play around with it again, I guess, because I have time to do that. And I'm going to do 360 here. No, actually, do 7. It's got enough price action and do 720. And I'm going to start with a 1, see what I get. If I don't get anything, then I'm going to switch around here. I'm going to get rid of this Fibonacci level here. Not a whole, yeah, pretty decent market symmetry from the past cycles, but not a whole lot of information. I think it wants to hit up to like 16.48. If I switch this over to the Ichimoku, you can see like a lot of, like it wants to hit this area over here, right? It wants to hit this area over here and probably get rejected. Just something to think about. Yep. Alrighty. I've heard a lot about STEM. What is STEM? Been told we need to investigate. I'm staying away from STEM. STEM Inc. looks bad. I'm staying away from STEM. The lower Bollinger Band is negative. I'm staying away from STEM. The RSI, no bullish divergence at all on multiple time frames. I'm staying away from STEM. All right, guys. I think it's been about 2 hours. Usually I like to end the show here. I hope I went through most of your requests. And as I keep getting more requests, I may continue to honor my members first because you guys are supporting me. But I'll try to get to non-members requests too. I'm just gonna do like a better job when it comes to like the members requests, just because you guys are doing that. If you want to join the channel, you're not gonna see the join button on Apple iOS. You're gonna see it on Chrome. You're gonna see it on Android phones, but you're not gonna see it on Apple iOS because YouTube is not very smart. You can still join using a Chrome or an Android device, and you can still get access to a lot of the member features. So it's okay if you use a different device, and you can still go to Apple iOS, and you can still, be a part of this and support. It's like $4.99 a month. I get about 70% of it. So it's not a whole lot, but I would appreciate if you support me, or if you don't, that's fine too. I enjoy what I do, obviously. But sometimes I just get tired with my voice. And I can sell my voice in some other way. If you can think of, any way I can sell my voice in some other way, please let me know. I've been told that I have a very attractive voice, which would have been nice if I was dating in the age of internet dating. And I would have like just kind of do these voice messages and I talk like this, and next thing you know, you see this like obese cat. You're like, who are you? Anyway, you guys have a good night. I'm out. Bye.